Welcome back to another episode of Figuring Out Fertility. I am Carolyn Dubé, and I'm the Executive Director of Fertility Matters Canada. And today I have a really exciting, actionable conversation with Tara Wood. I apologize, Tara. Again, live television, my friends. Tara is a PR agent by day, but the past president and longtime committee member or board member of Conceivable Dreams, which is the patient advocacy group in Ontario, who's been instrumental in change for the Ontario fertility program. Tara, thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk about fertility benefits, and I'm really excited to dig into that conversation with you.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working on this campaign together for so long, so it's great to see what we've accomplished.
Exactly. So for viewers, we have a partnership. So Fertility Matters Canada and Conceivable Dreams have a partnership, and we have a campaign called the Fertility Benefits Matter campaign. You can find more information on fertilitybenefits.ca. And the entire campaign, actually, you know what, Tara, why don't you tell everybody about the campaign? I'm not the one talking here. I'm just asking the questions.
Sure. So we have a campaign. It's called Fertility Benefits Matters. And the reason behind it is really to make more inclusive, family-friendly benefits. We had an insight that, shocker, fertility journey is very expensive. And we knew there had to be a better way. We're slowly starting to make headway with provincial governments and increasing public funding on these fronts, but we have so much to do on the employer and insurance side of things. So 2 years ago, Carolyn and I teamed up and we decided let's look at what the existing picture of benefits looks like. We found out it's pretty abysmal. So we knew we could make a dent in this and actually hopefully raise the bar. And I think we really have in the past 2 years.
Absolutely. And the conversations over the past 2 years, Tara's been instrumental in having conversations with employers and insurance companies in Canada to get a better understanding of their sort of what they're interested in, or what's sort of piquing their interest in terms of fertility benefits. Tara, in your conversations, because you've had conversations with some really big players in Canada and some more medium and small companies too, like, what are you hearing from corporations about their interest in providing these benefits to their employees?
Yeah. So I think what's great about this campaign is we really took two sides of the equation, right? Like there's the employee side and what you can do, and then there's the employer and insurance carrier side. So when we lean into what's been happening on the employer and insurance side, the reality is almost no employers were actually covering any benefits 2 years ago. We did research to kind of benchmark across Canada what was the state of fertility benefits. Most didn't provide any. Those that did only covered drugs. So we figured there had to be a better way. What I did was really started to meet with Canada's biggest employers, because we want to enact change fast. If we can get the leaders in Canada to adopt better benefits, people are going to follow suit. So 2 years ago, we started with Canada's biggest employers. It takes time. So a year, 2 years later, the big five banks, which are our first five partners, they've all now announced at least 15,000 in coverage for their employees. And what's really exciting is we're going to announce this soon, but we actually have just completed some research that found 2 years into this, we've actually seen a 25% increase in the number of employers who now at least offer some type of fertility benefits. Yay!
25%. I mean, that's significant change in 2 years.
It really, I mean, it may not sound like a big number to some, but think about it. These are big companies. Changes to benefits plans take an enormous amount of time. It's going to be at least a year or two before we start to see this trickle over. So what it means is employers see the opportunity. They understand that this is something employees want. It's an easy way for them to walk the talk when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I mean, one of the things when I'm talking to employers, everyone has been touched by this journey themselves, their family, close family member. Like, no one's oblivious to what's happening in the world. What they're concerned is, like, how do we go about implementing it? What does that look like? Talk to me about IVF versus surrogacy. How do we make sure we're inclusive to all of our employees, including LGBTQ2+. So that's the good news, right? Like, people want to do this. They're just not sure how to go about embedding it.
I have a question. Are they doing this because they're seeing it in the media? Is it because they're hearing from their employees that this is important to them? What's the sort of behind the sort of movement forward?
So I think for the most part, we've seen a huge shift in corporate Canada towards the diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda. So, whether this is box checking or the right thing to do, or companies living by their values, I think there's now more public societal pressure and doing the right thing. So I think that's the main driver, because unfortunately, what employers aren't hearing often is from employees who say they want this benefit, they need this benefit. And that's for two reasons, right? Like, infertility happens to, the official is 1 in 6. We know it's a little bit higher than that. And it's low use, right? Like, not everybody in your company is going to need this benefit. You need it at a certain time, especially if you're only having one child or only want one child. But what it tells me is this campaign requires both sides, because we need to be more open, more honest. These are hard conversations to have. A lot of us aren't very comfortable talking about our fertility journey. But what I'm telling you, anyone who's watching this, if you want your company to offer more inclusive fertility benefits, whether you need them or you want those to come after you because you've been down this journey, we have to talk about it. You need to tell your colleagues, we need to break down the taboo, and you need to be able to have a conversation with your HR department just to start the conversation that this is a need and show demand.
Yeah. And are employers, are they actually hearing it? And do you think that there's a need, we need more employees to be sort of raising their hand and sending those letters or having those conversations in order to enact change? And as you mentioned, this is not something that, if your HR department or your head of global benefits, this is not something that they can change, in 30 days from now. You've got fertility benefits. You've got cycles of benefits to consider, and it does take time. So the sooner, like now, when you're asking, those changes probably won't come in effect for potentially up to a year or so.
Maybe even more, because you truly, like, companies only typically renew benefits or change benefits every year or two. So you're looking at what's that renewal date. That could be almost 2 years from now if the renewal date has just passed. But one of the great things is, if this is something you're interested in, at fertilitybenefits.ca, we've created some very helpful toolkits, scripts, tips, how to go about enacting change within your organization. Everyone's different, so we want to make it super easy. But what I will say is there's power in numbers. So again, even if people aren't going through a journey right now, having that support of, like, colleagues, pick some of your allies at work who have gone through this, you're comfortable sharing with. Start with a bit of strength in numbers. That might mean going to your HR. Maybe it's just starting to have like a bit of a grassroots conversation within the office, around the water cooler, getting a feel for, what's the temperature inside before you take it to HR. There's many ways you can approach this, but it all really does start with at least having that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. Probably, I guess for some, that letter may come in, and it's not that it's not a priority, but there's a lot of other priorities within organizations. And so sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And so if more and more people, are sending these letters or asking to at least have the conversation, it has to get attention at some point. So, and as Tara mentioned, we do have 2 really amazing resources on our website. One is directly for employers. Tara has compiled an amazing document. It's sort of the better business case. Is that proper terminology? For implementing fertility benefits within your workplace. So if you're an employer and you're interested to sort of at least get a starting point of what this looks like or why it's important, and actually there's a lot of data and research that backs these conversations.
This is exactly the deck that you'll find online that when I sit down with the head of benefits for any company, this is literally the deck I walk them through. You don't need to know all the speaking points. It's meant to kind of be a bit standalone, but it speaks to why, where's the data, what are your competitors doing? A lot of companies want to, if they're going to do it, be better, be the first.
Mhm.
The other thing I keep in mind is, look, any increase in benefits is a win, right? Like if we're going from nothing to something, that's awesome. But let's always set the bar high, because it does take time to negotiate these benefits, and they only happen every so often. So we're always going to aim for the stars. Like, is that 15, 20, 60,000? 60,000 is kind of my magic number, because some of us, on average, it can take 2 to 3 rounds of IVF before we're successful. A round of surrogacy, or around a surrogacy option, is about 60,000. So this really gives people the tools wherever they are to at least proceed with that journey.
Yeah, it's really good. It's so well prepared. And so that's a resource that we have available to you for free. You can visit our website, download that if you're an employer. And also we have on the employee side, or for others, people who are supporting you even on your journey, there's a toolkit there that you can download, and it's got a bit of the business case, but also a letter template in there that you can use to send directly to your employer. So that's really helpful. And if you want to use the business case as sort of backup to your letter, that's available for you to have a look at too. And Tara, I know you say this all the time. You do not have to be an expert in insurance. You do not have to be a benefits expert, because that's not your job. Your job is to raise this awareness and let the benefits people and the HR and the insurance experts have those conversations.
Yes, 100%. I think a lot of people feel intimidated. And honestly, I did too. I'm a PR chick. Half the time when I go to talk to these folks, they're like, why is a PR person here talking about my benefits? It's because I really care. I've been through this journey. I want it to be easier for others. And I think a few things I'd just love to point out is a couple of the things now that we're starting to see positive momentum and change, and more employers embracing more inclusive benefits. A few of the pieces I'm really trying to focus on now is dollars. Like, let's get those dollar amounts up. Of the employers who offer benefits, still the vast majority, like 95%, are only covering drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, again, something's better than nothing, but for people, not every province has coverage for funding. And we need to use those dollars where we want them, whether that's egg freezing, sperm wash, egg donation, acupuncture, I don't know, right? Any of those services you get at a fertility clinic, we would like to see one bucket of money that you can use for those benefits to pay for what you want or need. The other thing that we're pushing for is sometimes your benefits will have either an annual limit, so every year the certain amount refreshes, versus a lifetime limit. So we're encouraging employers and insurance carriers to always look for that lifetime limit, because we could go through how many rounds of IVF, IUI treatment in a year. We don't want to be time bound by how we can use those dollars. The other piece is, in provinces where there is public funding, don't require people to use that public funding before they can access their benefits. For instance, in Ontario, we have a wait list. Not every clinic is going to be able to give you a treatment cycle when you want it. You could be waiting a year or two. So let people tip into those benefits and get moving before they have their funded cycle, if that's the case. So those are a few of the ways we're trying to continue to improve. Great, we're on this journey together. Let's continue to make it better and more inclusive for everybody.
Yeah, it's such an important conversation. And thanks for hitting those points, because those are the things that are really important for people to understand. Like, oh, you're right. Just because there's fertility funding or access to a bit of public dollars to support my journey doesn't mean I'm not waiting a really long period of time. And every time a month goes by on this journey is one less time, or one less month you're fertile. That fertility window is closing. And so let's give people the best options for when and how and with who they want to build their families.
100%. 100%.
Amazing. I feel like I'm missing something that I was going to say. I was taking notes and I was captivated there by some of these things. So at the end of the day, the campaign is asking for employers and insurance companies as stakeholders to come to the table, to understand what this looks like for employers and employees, sorry, and why it makes sense. It's the right thing to do for your employees. And just because you're a top 5 bank in Canada, or you're not a top 5 bank in Canada, you're a medium or small business, doesn't mean that this can't work for you.
Such a great point, actually. What I often hear from smaller businesses is, I can't afford it. I don't know where to get the coverage. And that's true. It's a hurdle. It's a lot easier right now for larger companies to tap into the benefits and get that support they need. That said, there are many options for any size of business. You don't have to set the bar at $5, $10, $15,000. We've been working with an amazing company called Beneplan. They offer a great benefits package where every single benefits package actually comes with fertility benefits baked right in. The amount's only $2,500, but the beautiful thing here is every plan gets it. It's not an add-on. It's not a nice to have. They see it as a need to have, and service a lot of small and medium-sized companies. So that's definitely an option to look into. You can also look at healthcare spending accounts. There's different ways you can build a benefit, and whoever your benefit provider can help you do that. And maybe while I'm chatting about that, I just wanted to touch on something kind of exciting, right? We talked a little bit about the insurers. The other piece of this is the insurance carriers. So in Canada, we've got big companies like Desjardins, Sun Life, Manulife, Green Shield. These are the companies that provide the benefits to most of the employers in Canada. 2 years ago, no one offered benefits. They would say, if you want it, sure, we can embed it in, but it wasn't built into these offerings. Just last month, we actually saw Manulife come out with a specific page on their website dedicated to fertility benefits. Again, speaking to the fact that times are changing. Insurance carriers are even starting to recognize that, which is great. And behind the scenes, our team has been working with Green Shield Canada, in fact, on a new offering that we should be able to share soon. And we talk about quality over quantity. I think it's been great to see how a really inclusive benefit is built. And maybe when that launches, we can spend a bit more time talking about what that looks like.
Yeah, we're really applauding Green Shield Canada for implementing the time to really learn what this looks like and what an inclusive plan should be for the people who need to use it.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. Tara, advice for employers or insurance carriers who are interested in having these conversations. Would you agree that it's important to, yes, look what your competitors are doing, but also bring to the table the people who actually understand what this looks like for a patient? Because it's not just, as you said, a drop in the bucket, $5,000, that's your max, and off we go to the races. Check that box.
Yeah. What's really crazy is 2 years into this, again, PR lady who's been tackling benefits, I'm really seen as a bit of an expert in this space. And that's not to toot my horn. It's just to say it's such a small piece of employers or insurance carriers' pie that no one's really spending the time to dig into all these insights. What is the patient, employee experience? What are the needs? How do we build the right benefit? So we really, through our campaign, Carolyn, we have really become experts on this space of helping guide employers, helping guide these insurance carriers for those who really care about what does a great benefit look like. So my hope is we can continue to consult with these folks. People will continue to come to us for that advice so we can make big changes across Canada's landscape. That's really what it takes to change the whole picture, because we all need to work together. It needs to be the insurance carriers, the employers, governments. We all must work together to create, family building options that are affordable, accessible, and a lot easier than they are today.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with that. And we're so excited that more people are interested and are doing the research and reaching out. So just before we wrap up, let's tell people, for our viewers who are watching, whether this is on the live stream or on a replay, if you're interested, or if you're an employer or insurance carrier, or even an employee, you can reach out to us and we can help navigate those conversations. Tara, I guess you can reach out to us through the website, fertilitybenefits.ca. You can find our contact information there. Is there anything else? you'd like to add there?
No, I think the website's a really great place to start. We've tried to make it a little bit self-serve because we're two folks who have limited time and energy, but this is our passion. This is what we're here to help change. So, and what I will also say is, I do this as a volunteer. I do it in addition to my full-time job. So if you're interested in this, if you want to help us push benefits, like there's more hands, it makes for lighter work. And there's lots of work to go around. So if you're ever interested in getting involved in a different capacity, we'd also love to hear from you in that regard too.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you on as a volunteer on our campaign. So you can reach out to us to help with that too. Tara, as always, it's a pleasure. It is a true honor to work with you, and you are a change maker in the Canadian fertility space, activating and encouraging for more equitable access to fertility care for everybody who needs it. So thank you for all of the work that you do and for the countless hours that you volunteer to ensure that this is accessible for everybody.
Oh, thanks, Carolyn. And thank you and FMC for being the backbone of this community and making sure we have platforms like this to help us spread the word. So it's a pleasure to collaborate.
Yeah. And for all of our viewers, thank you so much for being here. We hope that you will take a moment to visit fertilitybenefits.ca, download those toolkits, and connect with us if you need support or help in navigating those conversations with your insurance companies, your employers, or your human resources departments. This is Canadian Fertility Awareness Week. And as a reminder, Fertility Matters Canada is a registered Canadian charity, and if you have the means to do so, you can donate to our charity at fertilitymatters.ca. That your donations and your generous contributions allow us to bring more of these educational sessions and information and our support to you for free. Thank you for being here.